Welcome to the We Founders podcast. We are women entrepreneurs, founders, and investors sharing our stories about how we raise funds, invest, and build our businesses from the Western Balkans. I'm your host, Gaia Montelatici, General Partner at Studio X Ventures. Hello, everybody. My name is Gaia Montelatici. I'm the co-founder of Belgrade and Studio X Ventures. Welcome to everybody to the 2021 edition of our We Founders Meetup. As you know, we talk about our business development and we share our practices as founders, as angel investors, as mentors. Tonight, I'm here with three amazing women, Dushka, Jenny, and Manja. We actually all met here at the Impact Hub last year during the fall cohort at the acceleration. Manja was there as a mentor sharing her experiences, and that's actually how the whole conversation started about women in B2B and what it means and how we actually go about our daily operations. Without further ado, I will ask each of you to sort of take 1 minute and introduce yourselves. And then we're going to go on with our really interactive conversation. I'm asking everybody to be super active, ask your questions so that we are very sure to come out with all of the answers that we're looking for. And obviously comment each other, ask each other questions, and I'm here to facilitate our talk. So maybe Dushka, you can start by introducing yourself.
Of course. Thank you first for inviting me, and Manja and Janet. We already found out that we are really good together and that we always have something interesting to talk about. So my name is Dushka, and for the last 10 years, I'm in the online or the digital world of work. So I started as a virtual assistant and specialist in social media marketing and had numerous clients from coaching and legal industry and fintech. And from the early 2019, I started working with early stage startups development from the e-commerce and fintech industries. And for the past year and a half, I'm really proud to say that I'm working with Orook, which is a Serbian startup in the construction industry, which is all interesting, all words interesting together. So I look at myself as a baby in B2B approach to the world because all my experience was B2C before I entered Orook as it is now. So it was a year of learning. So I'm happy to share those infos with you also.
We're looking forward to hearing everything you've learned. Jenny, what about you?
You're muted.
Sorry. So, hi. My name is Dzeneta. You can all call me Jenny because it's easier for all of us. I would like to thank Impact Hub for this invitation and also for everything we learned with them in that cohort. This was really interesting experience. We are currently in Vienna. We have a startup, D-Darks, which does predictive analytics in financial risk operations. We are mostly focused on real estate. We are both coming from the industry, so we detected some problems and we tried to find some solution for that. Otherwise, I'm in digital marketing and personal and corporate branding now for almost 10 years. And this is somehow now the circle comes full with all these digital stories, social media. And so now we have this like a data science part of the story. So I'm very excited to also talk with Manja and Dushka about their experiences and to offer what we can to the audience.
Thank you, Jenny. Manja.
First of all, thank you, Gaia, for calling me. It's always a pleasure to share my story, and especially when I'm in this wonderful, with these other ladies. So I will be really short. So I help executives optimize production, minimize downtime with machine learning. I'm a founder of Kagera.ai, so we are having applications in oil and gas, and we are doing innovation from the perspective using machine learning and deep learning in oil and gas industry. We started with only me 2 years ago, and now we have 15 people working around the world. We have R&D in Belgrade, we have also in Qatar, in London, and we are also thinking to expand to United Arab Emirates. We have big companies with whom we tested our solutions. And today I would like to share my experience with an entirely different industry, that's Middle East, and how it's to be, a woman in the AI world and a woman in a oil and gas world. Because these days they call me Queen of Oil. So let's then talk about that.
Absolutely. You're all into very hot industries. You are growing in international markets. So let's start with the good stuff and what you're proud of, and what you think your successes were so far. Last year was very hard for everybody. This year is not going to be less complex, but we're starting to be able to plan a little bit better with the learnings that we had so far. So share with us what you're really most proud of, and what your successes have been so far.
Should we take an order, the similar order as we please?
Dushka, you start.
I can start. It's already known that I like to talk, so I can start. So there are so many little victories and big victories from the last year, but I really think that when it comes to Orook, surviving COVID was the first one. So Orook is the matching platform for professionals and companies in construction industry. So our first thing is, hiring people, and our platform was to be opened on 1st March totally for companies. We had 3 months of testing with professionals and engineers to see if they like their part of the platform. And the 1st March was like our opening day, and 11 days later there was COVID and global pandemic and shutdown, and every client that we had planned to call and to be was like, we are not hiring. There's like lockdowns and global pandemic. The thing that I'm really fond of and I'm really proud of is that the next day we just treat it as another day. We sat down and we said, okay, what are the things that we can do now? If we can't go to clients and can't go to meetings, and what are the things that we can do? So our product team was, okay, let's fix all the bugs that we plan to fix in the next month. Let's do that right now. Marketing team, my department, was all over, okay, let's do the blog that we planned for 2 months later. Let's do it now. Let's start with our content strategy before. So let's do the brand awareness strategy a little further. And our account team started to collecting all those contacts that they already had, and just approaching them like just to see in which state they are in their companies, what's happening. So those first 3 months were really like work and keeping together, and giving our space to accept the things around us. We worked on our team culture and everything. So those 3 months, like our first 3 months, we really did it. And everything that happened after that was the product of those 3 months, just grinding and working. So I'm happy that we really didn't we showed that we are a strong team. Did
you acquire some customers last year?
Yes, we did.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Not only did we acquire customers, we exceeded our projections when it comes to revenue. it showed that during the incredible pressure that there was, and it really was, we acted, agile, and we acted really, ready to do all the things that we needed to do. We created different kind of revenues and different kind of streams of income. We risked it all when it comes to our budget, and figured out that we need to really create a strong sales team with outside consultants to really do that. So we were ready for August and September, when we started, doing, and all of our work, everything that we did paid off in the last 4 months, because we have over 80 companies that came to our platform, over 3,000 professionals that opened their professional profiles. Most of those companies had at least one employee through our platform. So it was really, really exciting, tiring and exciting at the same time.
Way to go. Jenny, let's hear it from you.
My look will be fresh for many of you, because we are the only company which was founded in October. So we are quite new. And for us, the biggest challenge was to resist to take investors in the beginning. Because we could make some deals, but we were so cheap because our product was not done yet. And we were still not even in the testing stage. And it was so irresistible, because, we were like financing ourselves, spending our savings, because we are, as a married couple, we made a startup. So there was the other founder who could finance it. It was one budget. And this was the biggest challenge, where we said, like, we had some negotiations, and then, and the COVID was starting, and everybody were like, trying to use the situation. And it was such a bad offers, because we didn't have anything. Our product was done, but we didn't test it. We didn't have an app. We didn't do many things. And then we are now in the stage where we even took one step back, and we had one client who needed some special product. And now we made the whole product, huge product out of it. And now we have, in fact, 2 products to go to market with, which shows itself to be a good decision, because now the feedback from the market is much better than it was before. And this, I think, it's our biggest success, to resist, to take a step back. And although we wanted to go all in and to make different kind of partnerships, but when we draw the line in the end, we would be like one of the partners there, and we would do the whole of the work, So I definitely see this, and of course, coming to this point where we already now have a company and we already have first clients.
Good for you. I mean, pushing back investors is a great problem to have. So, it's brave of you to have done that at such an early seed stage. It's very wise of you, because now you have definitely a different valuation, and you can go for more money, and that costs you less. So absolutely, that's a great already for validating the market opportunity.
And I think it's also this, that you somehow need this time also to see how the startup market is working, because we are not, you have like serial entrepreneurs who are making always some new startups because they want to see what's happening, and they're really good, they know how this works. And we just knew that there was a problem because it was in our industry, and we were handling this problem for so many years that we just wanted to solve it. And then when you come in, you have no clue, then those people who have a clue come and they try to, you can very easily make disadvantageous deals. So this would be my tip to all startup founders, just to take your time and to try to get your product first, and then to go to talk to investors. Because when we were starting, I had totally different idea. I thought, investors come and you're friends and you make company together. And then when Marco was asking in one of these exercises, like, what's your exit strategy? I was like, what exit? I don't want to exit. Where? We're going to the company. And then slowly but yes, the cubes fell in their place.
Absolutely. Yes. Manja, what about you?
I will say also for Jenny's same moment that I also refused some investors in the last year. Then, at the beginning of the year, I had a co-founder in the company. So then the last year was a really roller coaster in any moment. We also even changed the brand of the whole company, because at the beginning our company was named Kagera, but because I'm from Serbia, I thought the pronunciation is Kagera, even though I know pretty much good English, but I didn't see it like that. So then clients are telling Kagera, and then our logo was Kagera. So we needed to do all immediate Go branding from the beginning. So all the work that we had 2 years ago was in a garbage, literally. So we needed to move it fast. And then we decided to move only for oil and gas industries. Which I think it was a really good decision. And I think that we had a lot of luck, because at the point when the COVID started, we had 2 clients, ExxonMobil and Petrogulf, and our solution helped them to actually reduce the problem that they have in the COVID. So they are, let's say, one of the rare companies, oil and gas companies, who didn't suffer too much compared to any other companies. And then when other companies heard what we did for them, then they just came up to call us from every side of the world. Then, the other thing that I wanted to risk was our company was the only one who was hiring during the COVID. So we tried, different approaches, and my dream was to have a team that's multinational, and we succeeded in that. Then we also wanted to focus only on one market. So we worked with the Middle East, with Egypt market and that kind of markets. And we tested our applications, and we had a product market fit. And now we are actually moving faster with our 2 main applications, PyHazoop and PyRisk. The core of everything that we do in oil and gas, that was, first of all, my thing that it was really important, that our strategy is that everything that we do in oil and gas is no harm to the people, no harm to the environment, and no harm to assets. So that's something that we wanted to do, and to show all the managers in the industry that that's really, really important. So PyHazoop and PyRisk, they actually minimize the risk of people dying on the platforms, a risk of, environment pollution and everything that's considered here, and that everybody else now, beside COVID, we all become aware of the pollution that we have all over the place and everything. So it was a really interesting year from all aspects. I have found myself, in terms of that I exactly right now know where I'm heading. And I think that, if someone comes in and offers me, $1 billion or $1 million asking me to work for their company, I will say no. So it's like a dream come true, and the decision that I'm now leading my own company and that I'm making decisions by my own actually helped me to move things really much faster, which brought me a lot. And I think it's just the beginning. And I think that a wise thing was when the companies approached me to maybe buy out our application, I didn't want it. And everybody told me that I'm crazy, because in the COVID time, what you are asking for, you should. Or other thing is that because we do data science and machine learning, a lot of companies ask us, did your clients paid for you? And I said, yes, of course. So I'm sorry, but I don't do for free. It's like I'm helping them in resolving their problem. Yes, of course, that amount that they paid was not the amount that it was worth of, but it's a testing phase, but of course that they paid for it. So from the beginning of time, we were profitable. So we had revenues and everything. Maybe that revenue was not the biggest one, but I wanted to be sustainable, and that all the people who are coming there, that they know that there is a vision behind it, a strategy behind it for every of the departments, and that we are heading to somewhere, that it's not like we have a dream and then we are just dreaming, but we are not executing. So idea is good, but without execution, there is nothing.
Yeah. So Manja, we've been knowing each other for the past, I think, more than 2 years, and collaborating. And actually, we were in the Bay Area in San Francisco together as well. And one of the things that always struck me about you was how fast you learn, how how you integrate actually all of the data that you collect into your business development. How is it that how is it that you landed into the oil and gas industry? How did that happen? How did you find that focus?
Yeah, it was like actually an accident. On LinkedIn, one of my friends who was a really reputed guy from AI industry, he was offering his classes, and I was sharing his roadmap to other people who are interested, because at that point I didn't have time to actually teach others, as I was already deeply in the business and in doing the algorithms and everything else. At that point, I was working for different industries. There was no oil and gas. So one really so Emad, he approached me, it was, I think so, I don't even remember. So he approached me and he wanted me to show him, to teach him every Friday about machine learning, and to see if there's something from oil and gas. So how it started is, I first didn't want to give him a 1-hour class on Fridays. I didn't have enough time for it. But then when he said, I would like to see if something is in oil and gas that can be implemented in machine learning, I said to him, I cannot tell you that I can help you with machine learning, but I know after 2 months, you will know if machine learning is a potential for oil and gas or it's not. That's the only thing that I can actually tell you. He was a really team lead in a big worldly company in Qatar. That's a multinational company. It's a consulting company for oil and gas companies, and he has more than 10 years of experience in oil and gas. So I decided to try it. It was an interesting field, and it was really pretty much complex. I don't know why, but I was always intrigued with something that's complex and it's out of my comfort zone. And when I saw that it's, all men there, I was again wanted to do it, because one of my mission is to become Forbes under 30. So, but why I'm doing that is not because of the, recognition. It's actually showing one girl tomorrow that's 12 years old that if I could do it as a normal girl from Serbia, that she can also do it. That was all my approach. Then I was starting to give him classes. And then after that, he saw a big opportunity there. Then we got some projects. He wanted our company to work on it. And then I don't know how I learned everything about oil and gas. I went to it. I even went to Qatar to present our solutions. And yesterday I was looking at a picture 1 year ago. I think so that it was actually 1 year ago. And in the picture I stated that we will actually have Pi Hazoop, Pi Risk, and Pi FCC. And today I have Pi Risk and Pi Hazoop. And Pi FCC is developed, but it's still in the local phase. But these two are actually tested. So to be honest, I don't have an explanation how I did it. I think that I am just brave, really brave. Because when I told people that I'm coming and going to Qatar alone, everybody was like, are you crazy? And I said, I see here a big opportunity, and I want to test my skills and everything, because I knew there I have a shot, and you can always only have one shot. So if I didn't use it, at least I will know that I tried it and it didn't work, and I will find something else. So
Manja, we will definitely want to know, during the conversation, more about your cultural experiences in doing business in Qatar as a woman. But before we get to that, one thing that is super interesting in everything you've said, all three of you, is that when you talked about your achievements, you actually referred a lot to the challenges that you were facing that brought you to where you're at right now. So I wanted to, deeper dive a little into the challenges that you were facing and what happened there, how they looked like there were challenges, and how did you make it? Because obviously it's easier, when you see it in retrospective. It doesn't hurt anymore, and it turned out to be a success in the end.
Yeah.
So whoever wants to start.
Okay, me first again. I see myself first on the screen, so I can start. So everything that really is worth of telling is happened in the last year and a half. So I know that it's due to COVID and everything. We were forced to grow whatever in whatever way there is. So when it comes to Orook and the things that we did from the beginning, our biggest flex was that the core team was consist of experts from the construction industry and experts with the deep knowledge of startup world. So our whole strategy was that to put on the front line people who are in the construction industries to use their vast network of contacts, because our CEO and CTO were and are professors on the University of Belgrade and Leeds. Our key account manager is a project manager and technical manager in the industry, so they are well known and well respected individuals. And our thinking was, yes, so our key account manager and her colleague can be also sales. So what can be wrong there, because they know the industry and everything. So the things that we didn't take it into account is that it's not that everybody's for sales, you know. There are certain things you need to really love it, or you need to really, you know, feel it, or you need to really have that mindset to do the sales. And their experience was all the other side of those things, because during the COVID, they were on the front line with the decision makers on the other side of the phone, who were slamming the phone, who were yelling at them, "Why are you calling now? We are in the crisis," and everything. So the first little crisis that we experienced was at the beginning of the summer, when they told us that they can't, the pressure of the sheer contacts with them, it was absolutely stopping them of doing their work. That's nurturing clients, that's showing them the platform and everything that we agreed upon. So our challenge in that moment was, do we have a budget? We don't have a budget. Well, first of all, we didn't have a budget. How are we going to do that to expand our current team and to hire someone to do only sales, just to do sales? So we risked it all. We didn't know anything that's going to happen during this year. We risked it all. And we said, okay, let's go. Let's go find someone that can help us, you know, do the excellent work. So we found an outside consultant that's actually a really good friend of ours that has vast experience in sales in unicorn startups to help us create a strategy for our sales team. We find an amazing colleague, Tanya, and Vanya, who has a sales experience, is there too. Our duo, you know, that really did all this work in the past 4 months when it comes to the last year. So the challenge was for us to move, you know, we had that plan, you know, in our head, we're going to do this and this, and everything went away due to COVID and changing of our direction. And we said, okay, we have to try it. If we don't try it now, nothing will happen before that. So our focus for the last year paid off really, because we really created not only an amazing sales and accounting, because we continued employing other people, but we strengthened all the processes when it comes to the connection with marketing and sales and accounts. Our vision, our product is different. The way that the customers experience our product is different, because we are more mature now, with more, you know, self-conscious and self-awareness when it comes to our project. So it was, you know, it was a good challenge for us, but we risked it and it paid off.
So Dushka, since you know you are an international team, you know, and you obviously target international markets and the UK and so on and so forth. So is your sales team based in Serbia?
Yes.
And they operate from here?
Yes, so the sales team is based in Serbia. We already are talking to someone who lives in Germany to help us when it comes to marketing, but we are aware that when it comes to market entry for any country, we do have to have a team there. So at least the frontliners that we call them, we need to have someone on the market that really knows the market and that can help us, create a good strategy for them. So we are currently the big part of our team is based in Serbia, but we are planning this year, at the end of this year and 2022, to really expand to Austria, the markets, and UK eventually.
Again, congratulations. I really hope that someone of you, will ask a little bit more questions about, how you engaged friends first into sales and how actually they managed to do such a great job from here and addressing international markets.
Yeah.
So, in such a short time. So, I'd love to get.
Me too.
Jenny, what about you? The team, one thing with you that strikes is, the team is everything at the beginning. And you started this startup with your partner. That must be, from one hand, actually a great asset. You understand each other, you have the same ideals, vision, how you can work with each other. On the other hand, it can be actually a challenge.
Yeah. Let's say the punishments have many levels. No, it's Christian and I, we met working together. We were a negotiation team for Hypo Alpe Adria Bank. And we worked as a restructuring team for very big clients in Belgrade. We spent most of our time in Belgrade. And this was really difficult times where we had to negotiate multi-million contracts, and the clients were not really happy because everything was falling apart. This was this crisis 2008. Nobody was happy with us, and we learned there to hold as a team. And we learned how to trust each other. On the other hand, we are very different. He's an introvert, I'm extrovert. I'm the one who goes around, scares people, and he's like, no, don't do that. And so this, from this point of view, it's a good thing that we made this startup, because this is his idea. He makes the product. I don't know how to write line of the code, but meanwhile, I know so much about it that I'm selling it. And I'm more the seller, and I can more sell it and explain how it works. And I think also it helps that I explain it in a normal people language, because the data scientists, they are so much into their thing that they assume that you know something. And when he explains me a new product, I'm like, what? You cannot tell this to people because nobody will know what this is. And he's like, how I don't know this? This is like a common knowledge. So this is a good thing. We fill this gap together. But on the other hand, we are married, we have a kid together, and this all comes as a domino effect. We have 24 hours work time. We are constantly working, so it's very hard to keep this private and professional life separated. And sometimes, we are in lockdown like forever here. So you don't even have these external people, to go for a drink, to talk to. It's just like two of us in our echo chamber constantly. But yeah, it was for us also as a couple. It's good that we are used to working together, and I think that the worst part is anyway behind us, because this was this part where we had to again adjust to each other. But now we go easier forward, and also I have my own business. I have my own company, so I think that this also gives me a bit of ventilation space where I have my own thing, and it works.
Definitely. I mean, you've talked about a lot of things that I can relate to personally as well, because as you all know, I've also started the Impact Hub with my partner. So at the same time, if you have another business on the side, what do you focus on? How do you choose your priorities? How do you manage, the time to do both things? I'm sure that you had such challenges in the business development.
Of course, it's a question that he doesn't pay me anything. The other company pays me better. I'm joking. What I do with the other company, I consult companies on digitalization in general, and especially about this marketing and sales part. So to digitalize your marketing efforts and so on. So what we did also a bit synergy between those companies. So when we had to make a step backwards in summer to make this other product, we tried to sell our first product to one company, which was not ready to do this because they didn't need it, but I could make a deal with my company to help them with something else, which was more marketing side of the story and the branding side of the story. So it somehow makes a full circle. I'm more this digitalization in general, and he's more this data-driven decision making. So we sometimes 70% of the cases we can, transfer the value from one company, mostly from his company to my company, because the companies which come general in the first place to me, they are not our target group. We are targeting like big real estate funds. So I don't work for big real estate funds for now, but it comes the other way around. When these funds he's approaching, when they have some little problem where I can help, or usually it happens with companies which have something on the local. So an international company has problem in Austria or in Slovenia, because I'm active in Austria, Slovenia, and Balkans. Then I can help, and this is how it works. But in general, we are both workaholics. This is our problem in general. We are really people who live to work, and this is because we both chose to work what we like, and this was also one reason why we went from these big international companies and make this, like Manja said, you would never, when you start to work for yourself, you would never go back. It's simply, you cannot, it's a different mindset, it's a different vibrations, and even when you have a best boss in the world, you don't have your freedom, you always have somebody above you, and so I think that somehow it works because we like it. You have to really be into this, what you do, and then also 2-3 companies are not the problem. I'm already considering one more company, so.
Absolutely. There's so many things that actually, I see that you would be great at collaborating, the three of you together. So I'm sure that we will find a lot of things in there.
Company, a ladies' company.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in.
And it seems that everybody here are work colleagues, so it would not be a problem for us.
Exactly. I agree.
So, yeah, when I went 40, I was like, I have the energy for 5 more businesses to start. So it's just it's different kind of energy, but I do have the energy. So just let's hear.
But I think when you are around 40, then this private energy is like, you don't want to go partying, you don't want to hang out, but you just want to work. I don't know.
No, I want to party. No. What? I can't now, but I want to.
I forgot how this looks like.
Everybody forgot, We had some celebration, and then I want to celebrate something really important in my life, and then I realize, I want to celebrate, but I cannot go to celebrate. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I just want to remind everybody to ask questions. We have some 15 to 20 minutes left. We still have a lot of great, issues to discuss together, but I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask their questions. So if you do have, you can chat, you can raise your hand, anything you like. So just do it. We're here. Manja, do you have something to share from your side? Oh, someone raised his hand. Spomenko. Do you hear us? Spomenko, if you want to ask a question, it's all you. Just go ahead. If you hear us. Well, let's move on. Maybe we'll hear from him later on. So, Manja, talk to us about the challenges of doing business in Qatar, right? In your space, in doing all things that traditionally really are not associated with women, and you're actually changing this whole picture, right?
So first of all, let's go back further. So most of the people, when I say that I do data science, most of the people thought that I think that I don't code. And then when I tell them that I actually know how to code in Python and I have developed a couple of applications, they're like, what? Are you really saying that? Then when it came to oil and gas, in order them to take me serious, I needed to learn everything about oil and gas. I needed to learn the stuff that engineers do, first of all, to understand the problems they have, and also that they take me serious about it. So it was like really short time. And it's I was not sure what I can expect, because when I was on the meeting there were no women, so they were all engineers from different fields. And to be honest, I was really afraid if I'm actually not on the right stage, that because it was entirely different from anything that I did before. I decided to try it, and my experience was actually really nice. So when I went to Qatar, first things that they have entirely different culture. And the thing that I'm a woman who actually is in business, they saw it as something extraordinary. So first thing that they said is everybody wanted to meet me, as everybody heard about a girl who knows to code and knows oil and gas, and everybody wanted to see me as like something that they never saw it. And then when they heard that I have a technical knowledge and that I know everything, even in oil and gas from engineering perspective, and I know all of this, they were amazed, and they wanted to give me more opportunities and more glows of all of it. Then when I was in Qatar, I really loved the whole city, because I don't know if you guys know it, but the leader of the country is Emir, and he has his daughter's wife and mother. Mother is responsible for finance in the whole country, and all malls are actually named by her. His daughters, one of the daughters is leading the museum, other daughter is leading the library. His wife is also considered for the beauty salons, and she's leading that. And he's responsible for political presence and diplomacy for the whole country. So, and the way how they treat the women is entirely different. So I'm not aware about the other Middle East countries because I was mostly working with them. And they say that the most important part is knowledge and health. And when you have health and knowledge, you can make things different. And the way how they see it is, even though their traditional way of in their religion is different, they are actually having more and more women introduced in the businesses. One interesting topic is that in the oil and gas companies nowadays, they're changing the environment, and you have women on management positions. So you don't have a lot of women on engineering positions, because to be honest, mostly women can do a lot of stuff in the same time. That's because we are, also most of us are mothers and sisters, and we can do different stuff in the same time. So when you are a manager in the company, that's the same skill that we have by birth, is that we are capable to lead different people, different environments and everything. So they decided to say, okay, if we want to move forward, and if we want to be a better society, and we want to embrace the change and other cultures to come in our place, they decided to put more women in the management. And when they saw me, they saw also an opportunity. And then, actually it was like, domino effect. So, have more women in a management positions. I myself, I had a couple of meetings where I met two other women from a management positions. So it was a really nice experience. So I didn't felt any kind of bad challenges. Actually, they saw that I can do something, I can change the current environment, and they gave me opportunities. So it was not about if I'm a woman or I'm a man. So they didn't look at that. They just wanted if I have knowledge, because other, especially knowledge, is something that's most important. And thing that I wanted to do is I wanted that for a while. So my next stage is that I was supposed before COVID, I was supposed to move to Qatar. So I wanted to live beside Belgrade in Qatar. That was my plan. I actually have a lot of stuff is actually in Qatar, in Doha, and I cannot reach it. So my next plan is actually to go there and to spend more time and to live beside Belgrade in Qatar. And also I'm considering Dubai as a next place, as it's entirely different culture. And I don't know, it's a lot of stuff that I can see that I can made it. And in Qatar, I really love their library. So they're really futuristic. Everything is futuristic. And from my perspective, when I was little, for me, knowledge was everything. I always wanted the opportunity to learn something new, something more, and then to implement that. So I have learned that there. And I now am examining more, the environment there, and they're becoming they're much growing and having a different perspective of anything. They even didn't have a problem about data science and machine learning. So they were not against it, because most of the companies are against it. Even though oil and gas companies are, they didn't have from that perspective innovation in the last 50 years. But this COVID situation showed them that they need to change this environment fast. So they decided to, it was before COVID, it was like this. And then when COVID happened, it was like,
yeah.
And they understand that they actually need to change now if they're thinking, in the future. Because the core difference between people in Serbia or maybe in the Balkan region and people in Arab world is people in Arab world that think, in advance. On the long term, they don't think about short term. That's how they think. That's how I learn from them. That's different from the culture where I came from.
Yeah, I mean, the awareness of where you're at, and what you're facing as your risks, and is actually everything. I think that that's the only way on how you can then take some steps to move forward. And you're demonstrating that in the industry that you're working, which is, becoming more aware of its risks and challenges, and they're very tangible. So we have Ayat, who's saying hello to Manja, and very much empathizing, and saying that he has the same mindset. And we have a great question from Mira, who's asking you, how do you break the stigma of achieving success through failure? And what is your advice to women entrepreneurs on how to surmount failures in order to achieve business success and impact? Who wants to take this? Jenny?
Yeah, sure. Yesterday I heard something. We all, the failure is part of it, and before you learn it, it's better. And it's not just entrepreneurship. When you think about everything, in whatever area which you want to be good, you want to be excellent, you have to fail. You have to fail so many times, and every time you fail, you learn something. And this is something we hear a lot, but it doesn't resonate with us because everybody says it. But somehow when you come to this part of coping with it, it's different because, it's you. And yesterday I heard such a good thing. I don't know, maybe people heard about this much before me and everybody already processed it, but I heard it yesterday, so I will share it. Your limit is where you imagine yourself. So, but you imagine yourself what is in your head, where you end up, this is your limit. And this was so, I was like, I don't even know, somebody wrote it on LinkedIn. I was like, what is this? And really, when you think about it, so if you imagine yourself, now you are a female entrepreneur and you say, let's not talk about money, let's talk about success. I want to have a company which is present in many countries and I want to hire, 100 people. So everything what comes in between, it's just like a little stone on the road, But when you think about yourself, maybe this year, I have this company, I hope we don't bankrupt because, it's hard, but I could fail. You already prepared yourself for these failures. Every single failure in between which comes, it's like a stone on your back and it really kicks you down and you barely survive this. So I think it's the point is to really set your goals high and then not to be afraid to invest an enormous amount of work. And I believe really in this principle of 10,000 hours, and it's at least 10,000 hours. So you have to really work like crazy if you want to get successful. And I don't believe in this overnight success stories. I loathe Instagram as a platform because of that, because they are selling people stories which are simply not true. But you don't need education, you don't need knowledge, you don't need anything. You are just hiring like a private plane and making pictures in it. So really it's a work and it's high goals and everything in between, it doesn't matter really, because in many failures I met such great people. And I have still today business relationships with people through my failures, which like what I said last year. Last year we were very disappointed because we had connections in one company and we thought, and this is what they need, and this is what Manja said before, companies are so resisting to data science. They're like cats which are trying to pull in the water, no, yes, we are dirty, but we don't want to wash ourselves. And the point is that out of this company, out of this failure, I have such a good business relationships in other things. I was part of one really great education. So it's everything. It's not a failure. It's like a challenge, and you have to milk out of it what you can. And that's my big wisdom for today.
No, do we have time for some more wisdom?
Go ahead.
Can I pitch in? Yeah. I just want to start from a point that most of my life I was crippled by the imposter syndrome, most of my life. So I have my 10 years in this kind of industry, so when it comes to online digital world and coming out of my comfort zone. Before that, I had 10 years of other type of work, was in classic companies, Serbian companies and everything, and I was crippled. I couldn't imagine myself, and you're right, Dzeneta, where you imagine yourself, it's your limit. I couldn't even imagine myself as a success because I was so crippled with those things that I will never amount to the things that I want to do. And when I started going out a little bit from my comfort zone, my first job online, I remember that moment when I worked for that client and she called me for something abrupt. And she needed, I need to talk to you for 5 minutes. And I thought that she's going to fire me. So that's it, because she's going to fire me. She's calling me to tell me that I'm wrong, that I didn't do job well and everything. And we come to the meeting, I'm anxious and I'm sweating and everything. And she's talking about something and talking and not coming to the point about the things that I want to hear. And at the end, I was like, you wanted to talk to me about something? And she said, yeah, I wanted to say that you do a really good job and you're an amazing person. And here's a little bonus of $25. And I was like, what? I was like not sleeping at night thinking she's going to fire me and that little moment was just a spark for a bunch of moments that came because whenever you put yourself out there, whatever that means for you, is it a new work, is it a new job, is it this kind of presentation? Can I say that before I started working in this type of jobs, I couldn't imagine myself talking on the large scene before in front of people, and now it's like my other skin. So why? Because I put myself out there, and my thinking of bad things that's going to happen they didn't happen. Nothing happened that was so bad that it brought me back. So everything that I can say during this past years of my life that I've worked, I can talk about this for hours. I can say just that I can count my growth through failures. So that's it. Counting growth through failures. I know exact moments where I failed, and that was the exact moment when my growth started. And now I'm here.
Thank you so much for sharing these, personal experiences. You are absolutely right. And one thing that I think is super important is actually to spell out loud when someone does a good job, because sometimes you're in the middle of the operations like Dushka and you don't know the outcome, So let's tell each other, when we do a good job and when something did well and what happened with that. That's a great thing. And of course, there's always, who you work with, right? So from how we can imagine ourselves in a different light also depends on who we work with. And I think, Spomenko actually here in the chat is commenting on the hardships of finding a good team, right? How do you choose? Where do you go to look for them? How do you help people to learn the new job? In the startup world, it's very new everywhere, but especially here in Serbia, right, and in the Balkans. You don't have very many TORs explaining, what people are supposed to do. You have to invent them, and you have to build those competencies and skills with the people you work. So it takes even longer to get to some results, and it gets a little longer to establish relationships. So that's another thing.
Can I comment about that, about the failure part? So I see it entirely different. So for me, it's failure is just one step closer to the result you want to have it. So if I have, for example, a failure, I can then see that my result that I want to see is I need to change it. Maybe I actually didn't want that. So, and then I change it until I get the result that I wanted to have it. Another thing that I learned from one of my mentors, so I think it's really important, a business is like sport. When I was 14 years old, I was actually I was like a really successful tennis player. And I had, trainers for like nutritionists, trainers for, my tennis playing, the techniques, and then a trainer for my physical that I'm fast and so on. And to be acknowledged what are my pros and what are my bad things, negative things that I have for me in the sport. So it's the same thing, businesses like that. So it's really important that you have mentors around you who can give you advices where to go and what to do. One of my mentors, she really helped me in order to understand, that failure is actually, you imagine something, but it didn't happen like that. But the core thing is that you need to take a responsibility. You need to take a responsibility of every of your actions. That's one thing. Another thing is that also it's really important to, take a risk, and also to communicate straightforward to all of your team members or everyone around you about your expectations. Because we people, the reasons why we maybe are feeling bad about some other people is when we don't talk and communicate about expectations. So I learned to communicate my expectations, and every of my team members, they know what are the core values, my core values, and then they're fit with me if their core values are the same as mine. But I needed some time to understand what are my core values. So it took me a while ago. So I can say that I started that when I was little and I was a tennis player because I was really good. And then I went out of it. I didn't went out of it because I was bad, because I was loving it 19%. There was 10% something that missed. So this stuff I'm right now doing is I love it. So I think the core of everything is love. You know, that you are passionate and loving the stuff that you do, and then you make the surrounding around you, and that you are telling the values that you have and the course, and that you also have a gratitude about everything. So most of the people, they talk about what they didn't do right. Can we start telling what we did right? You know, can you write a list of everything that you did good? And you will be amazed about it. So I started 2 years ago to write also the stuff that I did good. And I was doing that always. And it kept me actually to understand, okay, maybe I did this wrong, but there are some stuff that I did it right. So it's not everything so bad, and we should not take, you know, if you have a mistake, that's how, you know, you are learning in the school, that when you do a mistake, that's bad. You know, mistakes are not acceptable. And that's the reason why most of the people don't want to risk it. I remember that everybody after Qatar, because I shared my picture with, you know, 12 Arabs, and everybody who called me said, you know, oh my God, you are having how come that you did that? How you had the guts for that? And I said, it's, so what? You go and try it. Otherwise, you know, you will only have you will only miss it because you didn't do something. You just go and face your fears. What can happen? Maybe you can go and maybe you will, it will happen something bad, but what if it happens something excellent?
Yeah. So ladies, we are 5 minutes out of time, but I think that this is very important. So I will ask 1 more minute, and if all three of you can share exactly what Manja was talking about in terms of the high values that you hold yourself up to, and that you want your team and your clients to actually respect, right? Because it is the key. It definitely is the key. It what brings edges. It's what brings diversification and differentiation on the market. You know, if we expect to be competitive on the basis of price or based on the level on how much we can pay, you know, our team, then it's not going to happen. You know, there has to be a lot more than that. So please, if you can share, you know, one value that you think is the core value for you, so that, you know, everybody else can start to do the same.
How to pick just one?
It can be more.
Which one is the best? How to pick one? Well, I noticed before while working for other people and working on some of my projects that people rarely speak of the things that bothers them. You know, you really need to have all the structure behind that to make them, you know, make them a safe space so that they can speak about the things that they don't feel that's good for them. So transparency is the first word that came to my mind, but transparency in a team, in a sense that everyone can have that safe space to say the things that's not going good, the things that's going good. What can they do? What can they offer to be a better place? What can we offer to be a better place? So that kind of transparency is not easy to create, especially in a virtual world, because we are all behind the screens and we don't have that human moment where we can feel someone's energy, you know, when he's muted, to see if he's, you know, feeling like he doesn't have that safe space. So transparency but it comes with so many things, you know, boundaries and everything. But I think that I will go with the first association that came. Transparency will fit.
Fantastic.
Okay, and I will go the next one. Okay, I will choose integrity.
That's a good one.
No, I think that in respect to your team members or the clients, the integrity is something when you have this and people recognize you by that, it's part of your brand. Everything else goes, you know, like when you really say something that this is like this, that you don't sell fog, that you don't sell stories, you don't do some crazy elevator pitches which don't mean anything. And so I really think that, and I witnessed to this. I was really long time ago. I am still in this influencer world because I was doing research on this, and I was also like one of the influencers, And in marketing world also, Duška probably follows this. There's so many marketing experts, and they all tell you some stories and so. But when you follow this integrity line, you don't even have to do these crazy promises to your clients. When you just deliver this, what you said you will deliver, without any big clouds which you are promising, people are satisfied, People have rather this than when you tell them, yeah, we will do anything. Anything is possible. And then you're just downsizing this, what you said. And this is, in the same time, what bothers me the most with my business partners or people who work with me when they sell me stories. This is one thing I cannot go over. Everything else, yeah, we can discuss, but you have to have this integrity, and this is what I'm also willing to offer.
Thank you, Jenny. Manja.
I agree about the integrity, especially also in data science world. You have as much companies who are saying we will deliver you AI, but actually real AI does not exist. So when our clients approach us, we say, we are sorry, we cannot offer you artificial intelligence that does everything instead of humans, and will not replace your engineers. And then, we call the names the right names that they are. So integrity is something really, really important. So without it, I'm sorry, but maybe it's better for you to find a job at some company. So then, entrepreneurship is not for you. Another thing is taking responsibility for your actions, because there was some stuff. It could be sometimes that you did something for a client and you didn't expect it to be the same amount that you thought. But if that happens, you need to say, okay, this happened and I am sorry for this. I will take responsibility for it. And that's the way how it should be. So there is not possible that we are humans and we make mistakes, but when we make a mistake, we should take a responsibility for it. So that's really, really important.
Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you for being such great inspiration. Thank you for walking the talk and being amazing models. Keep on rocking. I'll see you very soon. And everybody else who wasn't able to post a question, please do so. Write to us in Serbian, in English, in whatever you want language. And talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, girls. Bye.
Ciao, everybody. Thank you for following our We Founders podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to our episodes on Podcast.rs and Sounder. And check our websites for updates on wefounders.net.